Hello everyone, and welcome. How are you today? Tonight, I invite you on a relentless odyssey lasting 20 minutes. A journey into the bone-deep reality of life in the Roman Empire. Leave behind your modern comforts and step with me into a world of unending toil, constant dread, and fragile. Hope into alleys slick with waste, into workshops fetid with sweat, and urine onto fields scorched by a merciless sun, and beneath marble porticos where the powerful turn blind eyes to suffering. You remember too late the warning from a dying comrade. Trust no one. Pigeons roost in the broken pediments of the Temple of Saturn. Vendors hawk olives in earthenware bowls, the pits creating a clatter that echoes like distant gunfire. A stray cur snatches scraps at your feet, and you wonder, in an empire built on conquest, why does famine reign on every street? You rip through a hunk of Panis focaccias crusted, so thick you slice it in half with your thumbnail and drink from a goatskin waterskin. The water, warmed by the sun, tastes of moss and the distant river. Your mind wanders to ritual augury, sacred chickens whose appetites decided fates of emperors and empires. The corridor's lanterna flickers, casting monstrous silhouettes on the walls. One woman rocks her child, hums an old lament. Another man mutters curses about a curfew broken by a freedman, whose punishment public flogging in the forum will be a spectacle at dawn. Walls here are so thin that you hear the scrape of sandals, the low groans of pain, the sibilant hiss of furtive lovers in rented cubicles. Privacy is a luxury hoarded by those in stone villas. For you, every breath is shared, every secret revealed by cracks in the mortar. At the entrance, a tiny shrine to the Lares Capitals awaits your offering. A pinch of salt and a drop of cheap wine. Farewell. Above, firebrands dance in the hearth of the upper floor, the warm glow reminding you of hearts you will never call your own. Your eyelids grow heavy not from serenity, but from pure exhaustion. We have walked through poverty so alive it breathes down your neck. We have felt superstition curl around our hearts like a serpent. We have stared into the abyss of inequality and found our reflection. If these shadows of hardship stirred something within you, if you felt the cold grip of that whip, the rasp of stone against flesh, the sharp sting of shame, speak their names in the comments below. Share which image pierced you deepest, and subscribe so that together we may continue to resurrect lives lost to history's splendor. Yet your mind churns, recalling images of marble statues and triumphal arches, the legion's banners snapping in the breeze, the Senate's gilded oratory. These are phantoms, mirages shimmering on horizons you can glimpse, but cannot touch. We Romans believe that ignoring these household gods invites calamity, that the spirits of ancestors wander angry through abandoned thresholds. Visualize senators draped in togas of Tyrian purple, their rings gleaming with embedded gems from the farthest reaches of the empire. These luxuries are forged from the sweat of slaves like you, from taxes paid by farmers who starve, from laborers crushed beneath the wheels of progress. You scatter your humble tribute, whispering, "Protect these walls." The wind responds with a hollow whistle, a promise or a threat you cannot tell. If they pecked at grain eagerly, the omens were auspicious. If they refused, doom hovered. You toy with your goatskin, imagining it an omen, but it dries before you finish, leaving your throat parched and your hopes as empty as the skin itself. Hear the fasti, carved into stone, record every festivals you cannot afford to join. In the Apoditerium, your tunic is claimed by a balneator whose grimy fingers tally your coins as if they were precious jewels. You slip into the tepid caldarium, the heated air wrapping you like a furnace's breath, then plunge into the frigidarium's chill. A mosaic underfoot shifts, and you feel glassy tiles pierce your blistered soul. Engineers boast of the hypocaust, a marvel that channels embers beneath. Marble floors, but you feel only the gnawing pinch of cold and the relentless gaze of onlookers judging your poverty. Each drop of sweat, each shiver marks you as a plebeian. Statues of emperors stare down with impassive eyes as you slip past, your tunic stiff with grime, your sandals gouged by the road. Oil slicks stain the water's sheen. Rats, emboldened by hunger, paddle through the filth toward floating debris. You step across mossy rocks, muscles trembling from the day's labor, aware that a single misstep could plunge you into waste so foul that infections lurk. Leptospirosis, dysentery, even rabies from the rodent denizens. It is a gamble every citizen plays daily. A twisted grin curves on the lips of a youth whose face glitters with sweat and malice. The ammoniac sting assaults your lungs, and the floor beneath is slick with a slurry of filth upon which vermin writhe. Romans taxed urine as a cleaning agent. The collectors rode in carts through the Suburra, rattling amphorae of this precious solvent. A slippered overseer, his toga splashed with chemical burns, prods you forward with a hooked staff. Your hands pale, weak, are forced to knead the cloth, bruising your knuckles until they weep. Each week, you scrub the stains of toil from fabric that will be worn again to stain and scrub an eternal cycle of labor without rest. One slip, and his blade will carve your throat in a heartbeat. The road, once flat-laid, is now ruptured by cartwheels and years of neglect. Pools of stagnant water host leeches that inch toward your ankles. The chain links around your wrists clink like mocking laughter. At the foot of the cliff, men with sinews like steel ropes swing iron puncher picks, spalling blocks of limestone, and will adorn palaces you will never see. The sun shrieks overhead. Even the rocks shimmer with heat. A misspoken prayer on your parched lips feels futile, for no god smiles on quarry slaves. If you balk, the foreman's leather thong will teach you compliance in bruises as black as night. Mortality here outpaces even the blood sport of the arena. Your heart pounds not from exertion, but from the dread that every stranger is a threat. Each coin you clutch is a beacon to the desperate. By the time we finish, you will know beyond doubt why you could not survive even one sunrise in ancient Rome. You awaken in a cubiculum scarcely larger than a coffin. Its single shuttered window cracked so little light seeps through that the room seems half torn in darkness. The walls, once frescoed in pastel mythologies, now bear grayish streaks of soot and the crumbling faces of long-dead patrons. The air throbs with the rasp of blacksmiths' hammers, the hiss of steam escaping cauldrons, and the hoarse shouts of street vendors. Steam curls from the thermopolium as bronze pots bubble with pulls, a gruel of barley, fava beans, and lentils, so thick you must chew it like wood. And above it all rides the savage aroma of garum, the fermented entrails of fish pressed until they weep a rancid oil. This liquid gold, traded from Baetica to Britannia, coats the tongues of the rich, but to you, it tastes of desperation. You press a single as into the vendor's scarred palm. 3 bites will scarcely quell your hunger, yet already your stomach churns with acids born of empty hours. Your palate lies on a plank of warped wood, heaped with straw so coarse that the briars left embedded still needle your back as you rise. At your feet sits a mud-splattered clay oil lamp, its wick burned low to a stub, exuding a pungent smoke that stings your nostrils and clings to your lungs. Inhale deeply and feel the metallic bite of last night's rain, mingled with the sour reek of moldy tunics and unwashed loins. Few apartments boast running water. Instead, you'll haul a wicker bucket up 7 flights to the rooftop cistern once a week, each gulp of water colder than a beggar's heart. You step into the alley of the insula, where the stones underfoot are smeared with urine and the carcasses of rats. Knives flash beneath ragged tunics as pickpockets prowl the crowd, their fingertips nimble as spiders. Onward you move into the forum, that stage of marble and marble-clad senators, but the illusion fractures at the edges. By mid-morning, you detour into a Phalonica a dank workshop, where slaves hurl soiled tunics into vats of stale urine and olive ash soap. You emerge blinking into the harsh light and trudge along the Appian Way out of the city gates, bound for the travertine quarry. At midday, you flop under a gnarled olive tree, its roots weaving like serpents across the hard ground. Reluctantly, you return to the city, drawn to the public baths and equalizer in Roman society, yet here too you lose yourself. Leaving the baths, you drift along the Tiber's bank at dusk, where lanterns glow green with algae, and fishermen whisper of barge accidents and silt choking the harbor. As night deepens, you retreat to your insula, 3 narrow stories of stacked rooms built of crumbling brick. Inside, neighbors huddle beneath oil lamps that gutter with stench. You crawl into your straw mattress, bones aching as if hammered by gladiators. In the blackness before sleep, imagine the grandeur of imperial banquets. Dormice stuffed with minced meat, bathed in honey. Peacocks carved open to reveal hidden delicacies. Wine pressed from grapes laced with saffron, poured into goblets of silver. And now, as the embers of your lamp gutter low, hold fast to this unflinching vision. Sleep well, modern friend, for tomorrow's sun will greet you gently here. In Rome, it would greet you as an overseer greets a slave, with a crack of the lash and no mercy.